Maybe I'm just too G for you. Maybe I'm just too screed, bitch. I can even roll in peace. Why? Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood. Welcome to another episode of My Two Satoshis. It is June 19th, 2018. We're rocking out to, unfortunately, from Kodak Black featuring XXX Tentacion. Tentacion was shot and killed yesterday in South Florida. I think it was around 1 o'clock p.m. Unfortunate, man. Very unfortunate. The guy was only 20 years old. So we're rocking out to some roll in peace. Rest in peace, young fella. It's unfortunate how this world is sometimes. So yeah, people. Hope you guys are hanging in there today. We've got another bull day, another green day in cryptos. We'll go over that. Also, attributed to that, possibly, I talked about yesterday how the Google search increase or uptick for Bitcoin could possibly be one of those data points that we need to be looking at to say, hey, we're finally finding a bottom. Well, today I've got another one, and it's pertaining to the hash rate for Bitcoin. It's hitting an all-time high, a new all-time high, I should say. We'll look at that article out of News BTC. And also, your boy John McAfee back in the news. He's saying he's quitting ICO pumps and dumps, which he should have quit a long time ago. Actually should have never started. Just looks bad on his name doing such things, but we'll get into the details about that. He's essentially said the SEC have been sending him threats. So we'll have to see what he has to say. There's an article covering that out of Crypto Vest we'll take a look at. But first, we're going to look at the market cap. We're currently sitting at $289 billion, up another roughly $10 billion, I think, from yesterday. Bitcoin's dominance is at 39.79%. 24 hours looking good for most of these tokens here. Tron is up huge. Ethereum up heavily in the last 24 hours. And Bitcoin Cash not looking too bad either. So overall, kind of seeing a nice recovery. And I told you guys even last week that I felt like we were starting to bottom out. Bottoming, hitting a low is a process. It doesn't just happen. People think that, it's like a V-shaped recovery. Most 9 times out of 10, you don't have a V-shaped recovery. It's a process, and it builds, or the momentum shifts from the bears to the bulls. So I think that we're bottoming out, and as I stated before at the beginning, we may have some evidence of this from a more fundamental standpoint, how and why we would be bottoming out. Let's take a look at the charts really quickly. I did draw the pennant that I was describing to you guys the other day, so you can visually see the breakout that we had. We got pretty much to the end of that pennant, and as I told you, the market has to make a decision, and it decided to move to the upside. Now, as you can see, we're above this 6,600. Now, I would consider this a floor. If we saw any price action below 6,600, that's a bad sign, and I would change my tone on the markets. But overall, I think we're a step closer to being on the bull side of things. We just got to keep our momentum heading upwards. Our next target again is going to be 7,400. We got to see something above there. So that's that. Now let's take a look at this first article out of Crypto Vest. Shots fired. SEC threatens John McAfee. It says here the battle wages on between the king of crypto and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission as the SEC seeks to put an end to the influential magic of the McAfee effect. It says here by John McAfee. He tweeted this late last night. He says, due to SEC threats, I am no longer working with ICOs, nor am I recommending them, and those doing ICOs can all look forward to arrest. It is unjust, but it is reality. I'm writing an article on an equivalent alternative to ICOs, which the SEC cannot touch. Please have patience. Man, I don't know, man. McAfee, you were boldly pumping different ICOs, man. So I don't know. Let's look at this article, though. In his most recent Twitter post, when asked by a follower which ICO will be the next big thing, John McAfee's reply was not one of advice, but of suppression. According to his comments, the SEC has made contact with the cybersecurity magnate and demanded he stops all work in conjunction with ICOs, including their promotion of his 80,000 strong Twitter fan base. He also dejectedly remarked that those doing ICOs can all look forward to arrest, most likely in reaction to the recent comments from the SEC last week in Atlanta that all ICOs continue to remain as securities offerings under strict U.S. law. The McAfee effect has been a widely coined term to describe the influential impact John McAfee has in the virtual cryptocurrency space, particularly in causing breakout bullish rallies from the coins he recommends. On December 13th of last year, he famously tweeted about the importance of privacy coins, adding that Monero, Verge, and Zcash are among those with the greatest future ahead in the market. During that time, Monero was around $237 and Zcash was over $300, while Verge was less than 1 cent. Taking advantage of the cheapest coin in that recommendation, the asset ballooned a massive 614% to over 5 cents in over 7 days off the back of McAfee's recommendation. From there, his popularity in the space has continued to grow and benefit other coins from his imparted wisdom. Today's news of these threats from the commission, however, could mean that we no longer see this McAfee magic at work. As the SEC continues its campaign to control digital assets operating in the United States, it's possible that we could see more of these threats made towards McAfee as they try to snuff out an iconic leader in the space. An iconic leader. Wow. Let you know where we are when we're calling John McAfee an iconic leader in the space. Smart guy. I'm not taking that away. Please don't think I'm hating or throwing shade at him. But the feud between McAfee and the SEC has been well documented in the recent media following a flurry of tweets by the king of crypto directed at the SEC chairman Jay Clayton. These comments include calling him out several times for a live debate on the current U.S. security laws that currently weigh heavily on digital assets and initial coin offerings. McAfee is no shrinking violet when it comes to standing up against federal agencies and has successfully rebutted an FBI security directive in previous discussions. So yeah, what do you guys think about, John McAfee? What are his true reasons behind doing this? Was he actually contacted by SEC? I could believe that to be the case, but I want to know what you guys think. Do you think he's just kind of using that as a scapegoat? Because a lot of the picks and a lot of his forecasts have been wrong since we've been in this bear market. So what do you guys think about John McAfee? And honestly, I think that, his antics are somewhat crazy at many times, but at the same time, I do have to side with him about how the SEC is really becoming totalitarian in nature, especially over these cryptocurrencies. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out for these ICOs, man. I don't know. I think it just really defeats the purpose of having an ICO. And I wonder really, what is he talking about in regards to doing something as an equivalent alternative? I'm thinking maybe he's talking about airdrops. You guys gotta let me know what you think he is referring to with that statement. The next article is out of News BTC, and it says here, is Bitcoin's new all-time high hash rate a green light for bulls? Bitcoin's hash rate constantly climbing. This recent jump and constant rise in hash rate over the past few months shows a consistent level of interest in mining the digital token, despite remaining below the important $8,000 price mark. The upside of this continuous increase in mining is that it results in increased competition between miners, creating an ever improving security of the overall network. So as you guys can see here, this is the chart of the hash power or hash rate of Bitcoin since I think it looks like this is since June of last year. In this tweet that Bitcoin put out, Bitcoin's hash rate just hit another all-time high after 15% increase from 2 weeks ago. New hardware is consistently being added to the Bitcoin network. Article goes on to say here, the hash rate in reference to cryptocurrency mining reflects the number of tries a unit can make when attempting to resolve or solve one of the Bitcoin computational puzzles. The mining units and large amount of electricity it takes to run and cool them add up to a substantial cost, as most miners work on a cost to mining break-even ratio. The fact that the hash rate continues to increase despite the decline in Bitcoin's price, for some analysts, predicts the start of another bull session. Naeem Aslam, writing for Forbes, commented on a similar situation in May. From the data presented, we can draw the conclusion that the overall outlook on Bitcoin is bullish, at least in the eyes of the miners. After all, miners would not want to allocate their resources mining a digital asset they believe to be worthless. Miners are in the business to make money, and perhaps the downturn in the market will allow them to accumulate more Bitcoin at lower prices in preparation for the next bull run. So the last paragraph in this article says here, while some may see the increase in hash rate as a green light for bulls and others questioning the release of new mining hardware, some are calling it a day for their mining operations altogether. As one follower commented, and that, folks, is the end of cloud mining. Most contracts stopped being profitable 2 weeks ago already. Another difficulty adjustment, and that's the end. So what do you guys think about this? I think this is definitely that additional data point that I was referring to yesterday that will help us, or should help us, kind of put the pieces together and say, hey, maybe this is the low. Maybe we're getting toward that low. Me personally, I know I was having a conversation with someone on Twitter, and they were asking me about the futures and the volume, and if price went below, or the market cap of cryptos went below 100 billion or something like that. It was something he was saying pertaining to the futures contracts, and I thought it was a neat tidbit. But I personally think, because the futures don't hold that much volume and they're settled in cash and not the underlying asset, i.e. Bitcoin, that has very little impact. The volume of the futures at its peak, Bitcoin's futures contract volume was about 10% of the daily volume of Bitcoin. So just not enough impact from a volume standpoint. And secondly, from a technical standpoint, they're not settled in Bitcoin, so there's no demand or need for real Bitcoin to cover any of these contracts. So I think it's more so about where at current difficulty rate, where is that break-even point for miners in general, and that will tell you where the bottom is. And I think it's around 4,500. I could be wrong. It should be somewhere around 4,500. 5,000, somewhere around there. You'll be mining at a loss, or at zero, which is a loss in my opinion. So you guys gotta let me know what you think. I'm pretty optimistic on the current situation with cryptocurrencies, where Bitcoin's price is. Tomorrow I got an article for you that is interesting, because it talks about the internet being halted if Bitcoin were to become as popular as some of these payment networks like Visa and MasterCard. Interesting article out of the BIS, Bank of International Settlements. We know they're part of the other side, right? The ones that are threatened by cryptocurrencies, but they may have a point, and we'll take a look at that article tomorrow. But that's pretty much it for today. Roll in peace, homie. XXX attention. Man, what a sad day. It's your boy Crypto Bud. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm out. Holla.